G'day, it's David Evans from Long Seed and Grain, South Australian Managers for Advantage Grain Pools, with another edition of Fun Fact Friday. I want to talk to you today and give you a few facts on my all-time favourite grain, barley. Now, barley is a very ancient grain. It goes back to about 8000 BC, where it was believed to have first been cultivated in areas of Western Asia around the Nile Delta. And of course, eventually it made its way to Australia. And currently today, Australia grows somewhere between 4.8 and 5 million hectares of barley a year, which yields around about 12 million tonnes. And of this, 30 to 40% is malt quality, with the balance being used for feed or feeding of livestock. Australia is also a big exporter of barley, something like, depending on the season, 50 to 70% of our barley is exported. And usually that equates to about 1.3 million tonnes of malt and somewhere between 4.6 and 5 million tonnes of feed barley. Australia supplies between 30 and 40% of the world's malting barley requirements and around 20 to 30% of feed barley on a global basis. Our key customers are China, and thank goodness they're back in the market again, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and many countries in Southeast Asia. And the reason for that is Australia has a really excellent reputation for high quality grain. So Australian grain generally is viewed as being plump, bright grain with low moisture and high test weights, possessing excellent malting characteristics. And one of the reasons for this, I guess, is the ongoing work of organisations like Barley Australia, who manage the ongoing quality standards and also the evaluation and development of new varieties. If we go way back, once upon a time, particularly in the 17th, 18th centuries, many people drank beer in preference to water. And there's a really good reason for that, and that's basically that the boiling process in making beer tended to sterilise it and protect them from all sorts of waterborne bacteria which they may have got if they'd just been drinking out of their local pond or creek. Malting barley is a pretty simple process, and it really hasn't changed much over the years. It involves soaking barley in water for 2 or 3 days to the point where it germinates and grows a new shoot, and then a couple of days later kilning that barley in a very high temperature, which kills off the newly germinated shoot, but very importantly produces enzymes and the sugars that are required for fermentation. In terms of brewing, I've actually been brewing at home now for probably 30 years or more, but whether you're brewing at home or in a commercial setting like one of the big breweries, the process and the method is pretty much identical. It's just the scale that varies. And so making beer is really just a combination of malt with its different characteristics, light malt or dark malt or roasted malt, water, hops, and of course yeast. Here in my little brewery, about 4.5 kilos of malted barley produces 23 litres of high quality beer. And of course, if you're brewing beer at home, you need somewhere to store it. You can either store it in a bottle like this, or as I'm lazy and sick of washing bottles, I tend to store beer in kegs and then serve it through a tap, much as they do in the pub. It's a great little hobby, and it certainly keeps you interested. Anyway, I reckon it's 5 o'clock somewhere in Australia, so probably time for a beer. I hope you get to enjoy one too, and that wherever you are, the season's going well. Cheers.